We're going to get more on this with Osama Nazzal, a Palestinian affairs analyst. He's speaking to us from Jenin in the occupied West Bank. Osama, we're seeing this back and forth. Those prisoners expected to be released just a few hours ago. Now it's happening in about an hour and a half. But these are common tactics that Israel seems to be using.
Yeah, and as Palestinians, we are not surprised by the decision and by such behavior by the Israeli occupation government, because Israel has never committed to any agreement completely. And the aim of this move by the Israeli occupation government is like throwing a stone into the water in order to examine the reaction and response of the Palestinian side and of the sponsors of the ceasefire and the prisoners exchange deal signed. Especially the American president envoy to the region is visiting Israel at this time. And at the same time, the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, is trying to show his people and the rightist parties in Israel that he runs the show and he interferes with every bit and piece, with all the details, not only to secure the release of the Israeli captives, but also intervening in the way they are released and the techniques the Palestinians in Gaza use to release them. So it is a matter of show-off and a matter of not allowing the Palestinian families of the prisoners to have one moment of peace of mind or happiness.
Why, though, was Netanyahu so concerned about the images coming out of Gaza during the release of those Israeli hostages and the Thai nationals who were being held there? Those scenes were very similar to what we saw during the first round of hostage release about 2 weeks ago.
It is a matter of dictation. The Israeli occupation government is trying to impose its will on every Palestinian move, whether in Gaza or in the West Bank. And Netanyahu is trying to tell the Palestinians in Gaza that you release the hostages the way we want, the way we deem it is suitable and appropriate, in order not to change the Israeli, mainly the rightist parties and the supporters of the rightist parties, a view of his government, because Netanyahu had given the Israeli people many promises at the start of the war that he would end the existence of the Palestinian parties in Gaza, and he would make Gaza unfit for human habitation, and the people would never accept to return mainly to the north because nothing is left for them in the north. Now, what we see from Gaza is completely different, as about 500,000 Palestinians returned from the south to the north. We see how they support the Palestinian resistance and they participate in its activities with regard to the release of the captives, and they celebrate the reception of the Palestinian prisoners freed from the Israeli prison. So this image is painful to the Israeli Prime Minister and his government, and at the same time it undermines his popularity among the Israeli society and the Israeli people. So he is trying to change this image and tell the Israeli society that he is victorious and he dictates whatever he wants on the Palestinian people. And if he is rejected, he can punish them, just like what he did today, trying to delay the release of the Palestinian prisoners.
But how popular is Benjamin Netanyahu really? Because we've seen the families of the hostages come out and say that they want a commission of inquiry into what happened. They've asked for people to resign from their posts, like defense officials, for not doing more to counter October 7th and what happened on that day. So Benjamin Netanyahu, many have said, is fighting for his political future here.
First, even before the war started on Gaza, the Israeli Prime Minister was facing a problem with regard to his popularity because of the judicial system reforms that he announced and because of the army issue and recruiting or enlisting the Haradim, the religious category of the Israeli society. So he was having these problems. The war came, and the dynamics changed within the Israeli society. And at the start of the war, they believed that he can, end the existence of the Palestinian parties in Gaza and elsewhere, and achieve the attitudes and the view and the wishes of the Israeli settlers. It took him 15 months of killing Palestinians, decimating Gaza, and in the end, he failed to release any of the hostages without going back to the Palestinian side and signing a deal with the Palestinians. So I think that his popularity is going to be down, especially one of the major rightist parties representatives, Ben Gvir, pulled out of Netanyahu's government, protesting the step that Netanyahu agreed to, which is reaching a deal with the Palestinian side.
Osama, can you talk to us a little bit about the prisoners who are set to be released today? Because what we've heard from many Palestinians is that almost everyone knows someone who has been arrested or has spent time in an Israeli jail. The release of these 110 prisoners, 30 of whom are children, is a highly significant moment for all Palestinians.
Yeah, the Palestinian prisoners who are going to be freed are, of course, not different from the other prisoners who are still held and continue to be held in Israeli prisoners, facing the worst living conditions ever. The prisoner's life in Israeli prisoners is no longer a human life, especially after October 23, as Israel decided to attack the prisoners in their own cells and in their own prisons. And we saw many images of how they are tortured, how they are deprived of their basic rights, even to have clean water and enough food. They were deprived of all that. And we all watched how the weight loss problem that was inflicted on every one of these prisoners. We are talking now about the prisoners sentenced to life, long terms, and their families never felt hope that their sons and their children are going to be released. So we are talking about unexpected change in their life. Imagine that someone who thinks that he's gonna die in a prison, today he is going to see light and he is going to taste freedom and reunite with his parents and his children and his family. So it is the Palestinians here call the Israeli prisons graves for the living. So these people are coming from death to life once again.
Osama Nazzal, thank you for breaking that all down for us and giving us so much of that Palestinian perspective live there from Jenin. Appreciate it.